I ran an experiment on my social media profile last week. I didn't really tell anybody about it. I just did it. And what's kind of crazy is that what I thought, kind of through a little bit of a hypothesis, I did an experimentation on what I thought was the truth, and turned out that I was not just right, I was very right. And I won't say what it was, but I will say that the responses have been much greater than I thought that they would be, and the interactions have been much greater than I thought they would be, which means that there was some individuals who had a personal vendetta against me. And that's fine. It is what it is. I don't get mad at people about stuff. I just know I draw my own boundaries, and I make sure that those boundaries are clear. And when they're clear, the people who don't like those boundaries, they end up usually trying to retaliate or whatever. So they tried to retaliate, and they lost out. And that's not just on my relationship with them, but that's also in my interactions with them. They no longer belong any part of my atmosphere, my space, and won't occupy my space at all. So there's an experiment that I did. The reason why I'm telling you that is because I actually ran 2 experiments, okay? I did 2 experiments. First one, I had a hypothesis, and I went through the scientific method, and it turned out to be true. The next one I did was the scientific method that I did with my faith. Now, I'm telling you this because some of you are getting twisted some of the things about your faith that you may not have connected with for a long time. Okay? You may have been away from Jesus Christ for a long time. And I get that, because I was for a long time as well too. In fact, the reason why I fell away in my high school years and up until my early 30s was because of things that were happening at home that didn't match up with what I thought God was supposed to be and stuff. It didn't make any sense. And so I walked away. Well, God ended up drawing me back because of my own life and the things that I went through. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I can do that another time. And actually let me become a pastor, which I never thought in my entire life. I go to seminary and get my master's and all that other fun stuff. But anyway, the real purpose of me telling you this is there are several of you that have been praying, but you're not. I just want to be real with you. I had to change my prayer because of my hypothesis and because of the method in which I asked a question. I did basically what you would call from Judges. I threw out a fleece, okay? And when you ask God for something, you're basically not really asking for your will. You're not really asking for a response to what you're asking. You're basically asking for God's will in it, because everything in life is out of your control. If you don't believe that, then you can kind of look through and see what just happened in the year 2020. There's nothing in anybody's control except for the folks who are trying to control everybody else. So it's a little bit different. And some people, they try to actually play God with other people's lives, which really sucks, but that's what people do. When they don't have a relationship with God, they try to play God with other people's lives, and they become the God upon themselves. Well, my experiment that I did, it came up positive. And I thought I was doing something that I was supposed to be doing. Turned out that I actually was doing something very much that I was supposed to be doing. And I just do experiments, personal experiments for myself. And this is what the purpose of that is. I want to always ask, am I going on the right way? Am I going the right path? Is what I'm believing true? Is what I'm saying, is it right? Am I leading people the right way? Because there's been people who have been the haters who have told me that my influence should be used for what they believe it should be used for, which they can kiss my butt. I'm not really that person to let somebody else tell me what my life's supposed to be. And plus, two, these individuals, I think that they can be my mother. You ain't my mom. Nor are you the head of my house. I'm the head of my own dang house. So when I threw out my experiment, my question to God was, am I going the right way? And I won't tell you what the experiment was, but the response was definitely, yeah, I'm going the right way. And I want you to understand something, okay? I'm not gonna try to be manipulative or anything like that. What I'm gonna ask you to do is this: if you've been away from your faith, if you don't even have a sense of faith, I'm not gonna ask you to pray what I prayed. I'm gonna ask you just to do this. I'm gonna ask you just to pray God's will in your life. Okay? Very simple. God, I'm asking you for your will in my life. And I want to get to know what your will actually is for my life. I also want to ask for what your will is for the nation. And I'm asking you to expedite that will. I'm asking you to make that will happen. Now, you can still pray for the things that you want. You can still pray for that stuff. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. God's not a genie. Nor does he just come and beck and call like that. That's not what God is. Okay? But when you ask for God's will, what you're basically saying is, it's out of my hands. The whole thing is out of my hands. I can't control the people. I can't control their actions. I can't control what's going to happen later on today, tomorrow, or the next day. It's you're asking God just to do what he does. Now, you might actually ask something specifically. I do that all the time. I ask for something specific and I got an answer. And the answer was pretty astounding to me. But it also tells me that God's also listening. So I want you to imagine this, okay? Instead of praying for all the specific things as the forefront, as a first, you pray for God's will as a first. You ask and pray for God's will being what he desires here in you, in your interactions with other people, and in this nation, in the world. Don't try to get into some eschatological debate about end times and all that. Just freaking keep it simple. I can tell you all about what I think about our eschatology right now. I think that Christians are very easy to think that we're always in the end times. I don't think so, and I've never thought that. In fact, I always think that we're in the end times no matter what day that we're in, but I won't get into all that. You and I right now, especially if you are a believer or even a non-believer, if you're seeing things happen in life right now that you don't have control, understand that somebody that actually does have control. And I want you to, and I'm not going to try to lead you and coerce you into anything. I'm just going to ask you, if you believe that you don't have control over stuff, and that you have no means or way to make things happen on your own because you are just one person, and you feel like problems in this nation, problems in this world are so big that you can't handle it, that's because you can't handle it. And there's humility in that. It's okay not to be able to handle it. You weren't born to be God. You weren't you don't have a God complex. And if you do have a God complex, that's your issue. It's a narcissism. But if you understand that there's a bigger picture here and you're a part of that picture, you fit into this massive jigsaw that's called life. And that life culminates and is linear, it leads to something. Then you understand that there's a whole nother agenda happening here that you can't see and you might be playing into. And the simple thing is, if you're a person on that couch and you're wondering what that is, ask a simple question. God, I want your will in my life. And I'm asking you to fulfill that will in my life and just reveal that to me. And God is he made your DNA. He's super unique. God can make as many people as he wants to and in any way that he wants to, including your DNA. So if he can answer you in any way that he'd like to, I'm just inviting you to do this. Instead of trying to take control of everybody else and make them do what you want and getting upset about everything that's happening, take your hands off of it and just say, God, have your will in me. Have your will in what I see. And help me understand your will. Ask for the things that you are asking for, no matter what it is, and then go back to it. God, please, I'm asking for your will in my life and the things that I see around me. I'm a little bit nervous, whatever, but I know that you're in control. And I'm going to tell you, Jesus Christ answered those prayers because you put in God first. You are, when you do that. And believe me, those people on that TV, they don't have that. They actually don't. Even those liberation theologians, even those folks who abide by black liberation theology, they don't, because they want to control everybody else by legislation, because they become their own God. That's what that whole thing is. Liberation theology, black liberation theology has always been a heresy. It's something that's crept into the Christian faith, which try to make white people guilty for being white, black people mad for being black and not getting what they want. It's all about having control and being the God of yourself and your own universe. It's not what life's about. So that's my invitation to you, because I know that you people on the couch right now, you're seeing something change right now. And I know that you're being encouraged, but I know that you're also very finicky, like Israel. Israel can be very finicky. I want you to understand this. You pray God's will, you're going to get an answer. Take your hands off the results.